Welcome back. This is Danielle from Spoil Yourself Natural. Today I wanted to do a chit chat video, and in the process you can watch me pack and ship a couple orders. I wanted to chat about where I am right now in my business, where you might be in your business, how the economy is affecting how I move forward from here. So a quick little backstory. A couple months ago, I was looking for a studio or a commercial space, and I actually decided not to move forward with that at the time, see how everything panned out with the economy and how my sales were before I decided to move forward. For the spring and summer, my sales were very consistent as they have been for the last couple years, but I did notice a trend selling in person and online. The same customers were still coming back. I was still getting the same number of sales, but the total amount of sales for each transaction was lower than it has been for the past couple years. And what I decided to do, since I know the economy is a little bit crazy right now, is I started offering a lot of smaller mini items of the same product. So people weren't as cautious about making a purchase higher price point. So they felt like maybe they weren't losing out on that money if they didn't like it, if the item itself was only $3 or $4 as opposed to 10 to 12 to try a product. I was still offering the same product in a larger price point, and I did find when selling in person, if somebody had bought a mini of something, within a week or two, they had actually come back to buy the full-sized option. And I wanted to make a point of giving you different ways to pivot within your business to make sure you're still making those consistent sales. I think all of us right now are struggling a little bit, no matter what it is that you're selling. If it's not something that is a necessity and more of a luxury, I think all of us are just trying to figure out new ways to entice people or allow people to trust us to buy our products over the larger commercial brands that are a lot less expensive than what it is we are offering. Another way you could do this is offering free samples, and I know that is not an option for everybody or within everybody's budget. So by no means am I saying you have to offer free samples, but if you have the means and your product line itself is something that you need to try before you fall in love with it and commit to buying it, then it's definitely something worth looking into. Or even if somebody's buying something and you're offering them a sample of something different, and say it's a regular customer that hasn't bought a particular type of product, throw in a sample if that is something that you can do, and you will be surprised at how many people come back and actually purchase the item itself. If you wanted to get fancy, you could even keep a record of it. So when you are packing up an order for somebody online, there's typically, or at least in Shopify, there's an area that you can put notes. And if you're sending them out a free sample of, say, a goat milk soap or an unscented soap, putting that in the notes, sent a free sample of X, Y, and Z, and see if they do actually purchase. I think you will be quite surprised. And while I'm trying to give you these suggestions or recommendations, by no means am I telling you to downgrade your product or give your product away for free. They're just simply recommendations on things that I've done that I've found to be productive for me personally. And the last recommendation is actually utilizing a affiliate link. I know Shopify does have a couple apps that you can download. You do typically have to pay for them monthly, but what you could do is you can offer your long-term customers a direct affiliate link. So what you would do is you would add them into the program through Shopify, through the app. They would get a direct link to your website, which is customized to them, and you could offer them a percentage off. You could offer them cash back, which would go onto like their PayPal account. You could do like a dollar amount back as opposed to a percentage. There are a handful of ways that you could utilize a program like that, and it doesn't work for everybody. So just fair notice, I did try this option and it only worked for a very small percentage of my regular customer base. So I think out of the 30 or 40 people that I tried it with, maybe only one or two utilized it the correct way. So I'm not saying that this is like a gold mine by any means, but it might work really well for your customer base, and it didn't work so well for mine. The next thing is I'm going back and really looking over my COGS, trying to see what it is that I can streamline a little bit more. I've looked into the way that I package things, the look of my packaging, what I can improve on, where I can cut some of those costs. Really just try to make my product the best it can be, but also still have that wiggle room that I think most of us like to have. So if there are some costs that are going up on a particular product that you buy or a raw material that you utilize, that when that price jumps, you're not panicking and trying to redistribute that increase somewhere else. And how I've tried to do that is actually really looking into how many different types of packaging I have. So if you have a particular bottle or jar utilizing for only one or two products, can you use that jar in other places? Or do you have another packaging that you can replace that jar with? So instead of me having 15 or 20 different types of bottles, jars, and boxes, maybe I can streamline that and make that into only 7 or 8. So it's less, you can buy in bulk more, you could buy less of certain items, maybe use less distributors than what you're using. So when I talk about looking at my packaging, that's what I'm talking about. The same would go for shipping. If you're utilizing 7 different shipping boxes, is there a way for you to break that down and make that into only utilizing 3 of them? Can you use more recycled materials from your wholesalers? Build your brand more around recycling, or upcycling, that type of thing. And obviously, when I'm giving you these suggestions, you're still going to stay within your brand and what your brand stands for. But sometimes the most simple things kind of just go over our heads when we have tunnel vision. And when you hear it from somebody else, a little light bulb goes off and you go, oh yes, that's something that I could bring into my brand. Why didn't I think of that sooner? So that's where a lot of these suggestions are coming from. Sometimes they can be so simple, but it's something that we just don't think of right away. And as a soap maker, being in the soap making community, I have heard a lot of other soap makers very worried about the cost of certain raw materials. So within this community itself, my soap is actually almost half olive oil. And as a soap maker, most of you know the increasing price of olive oil. Within the last 2 years, it has tripled, if not quadrupled, in the price point. And that obviously affects our bottom line and where we are. And when we are comfortable raising prices or potentially changing our recipe. I know I've seen a lot of other makers that are at that point that they're not even open to raising prices anymore. It's more or less changing the whole recipe. So if you're a maker and there's something that the price point just keeps going up and up, are you open to changing the recipe out? Still staying within the brand that you've built, but sometimes there are ways that you can stay within budget. You just have to be open to those options. And I think the last and most important thing would be your overhead itself. So like I was saying in the beginning of this video, is there a way that your overhead can come down a little bit? So I was at the point that I was making enough money to go and get myself a studio or a commercial space. But with the economy as it was, I was quite nervous to put that much faith into where everything was going. So if you're at a place that it's iffy or you're renting, is there a way for you to save? Is there a way for you to share a studio space or a commercial space with somebody else? Is there a way to rent out that space during the time that you are not there? There's so many different ways that you could go about this. If you work from home, can you stay at home a little bit longer? Is there a way to organize your space where you can hold more product as opposed to renting somewhere else? Is there an option for you to continue working at home but rent out a controlled storage space where you can leave product? That would be a lot less expensive than renting a studio space. There are just so many different ways that you can go about this in a positive way. I think that I did start to panic quite a bit in the last few months. Typically, by the time that fall rolls around, I do have a nice little nest egg. So after the holidays, I'm able to spend January, February, March, some of April, not having to worry about bills because I have set that money aside. And this year, unfortunately, I don't have the nest egg that I used to have. So I'm trying to find different ways to cut back costs while still providing a wonderful product to my valued customers. And so here on out, I'm just trying to be cautious on my spending. And if I need something, I don't just buy it right away. I wait until I have a larger order to cut back on shipping costs, to potentially provide me with a discount if I'm ordering over a certain percentage. And at this point, I have decided to pick up a job 1 or 2 days a week, just to make sure that I don't feel as though I'm putting too much pressure on myself, because having your own business isn't supposed to be a job, or that's always the goal, is it not to be a job. It's something that you love to do. And when you utilize it or you're around it too much, you can burn out and then the passion can go away. So really, I think what I'm recommending is to stop putting so much pressure on yourself and don't lose the passion. You started this business for a reason because you love something about it. You love to be creative, or you love to, run the business, or you love to interact with people, or you love to make the products that you make. Whatever has brought you to become a business person, don't lose that passion. And I think that I'm going to get to that point if I don't choose to step away just a little bit so I can continue to love what I do. So instead of trying to push super, super hard, I think I'm just going to push back, pull back, enjoy the holidays, continue selling to all of my regular customers, plan for the future ahead, but not beat myself up if I'm not making my monthly goals, and just kind of being okay with it at this period and where we are at this time, so that I can continue to love to create what I create and enjoy being a maker and getting to come up with these beautiful products. So I hope that you can do the same. I hope you can give yourself some grace if you are in the same boat as me and kind of at a crossroads on how much you should be pushing, or what we can do to make sure we're making the best products at the best price points for ourselves and our customers, and we're not cutting ourselves short or not paying ourselves appropriately, and really just continuing to love and nurture our business and remembering why we started our small business in the first place. So don't forget that. Please remember to be kind and patient with yourself and know that you are not alone. When you are a small maker, you feel alone a lot. I know I sure do. And just know that there's such a great community around there. And if you ever have any questions or anything of that matter, please always feel free to reach out. I love to talk shop with people. I love to encourage people. So please feel free at any time to reach out if needed. I hope that you've gained a little something from this video, whether it be a new idea, something you haven't thought of, something you used to do and haven't done in a long time. I think that sometimes just hearing something so straightforward from somebody else just really lights a fire under you and reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing. I hope you all have such an amazing, wonderful day, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.